Do not swipe away from this moment. Something has been unfolding around your name today, quietly, invisibly, in a place your eyes could not reach, and what was spoken there carried more emotion than you realize. Listen carefully now, because this message did not arrive by accident. There is a reason your heart slowed down for a second when you saw these words. There is a reason you suddenly feel as though someone, somewhere, has been thinking about you more deeply than before. Because they have. And today, your soulmate spoke about you in a way that changed something inside them forever. No, this was not a casual conversation. It was not small talk. It was not meaningless. This moment carried weight. The kind of weight heaven notices. The kind of moment that causes unseen doors to begin moving before either soul understands what is happening. Wait here with me a little longer, because what they said about you was beautiful, but the reason they said it is even more important. You have spent so much time believing your presence goes unnoticed. You learned how to hide your pain behind silence. You became skilled at pretending you were fine while carrying storms nobody could hear. And because of that, there were moments you secretly wondered whether anyone truly saw you at all. But today, someone did. Not only did they see you, they spoke from the deepest part of their spirit about what you mean to them. You do not yet understand how rare that is, especially in a world where people often speak carelessly, where emotions are hidden behind pride, where feelings are buried under fear. But this person, this soulmate connected to your destiny, could no longer keep certain emotions trapped inside their chest. Something inside them overflowed, and when it happened, your name escaped their lips with a tenderness they themselves were not prepared for. Pause for a moment and feel this carefully, because even now, as you listen to this message, they are replaying that conversation in their head. Over and over, wondering why talking about you felt so different from talking about anyone else, wondering why your energy lingers in rooms long after you are gone, wondering why your absence suddenly feels louder than noise. There was another person present during this conversation, a friend, a trusted soul, someone who asked a simple question without realizing it would unlock emotions hidden beneath layers of restraint. And at first, your soulmate tried to avoid the truth. They smiled. They looked away. They pretended it was nothing. But heaven has a way of pulling honesty from people when destiny is near. And slowly, very slowly, their voice softened, their guard lowered, and then they said something about you that carried so much sincerity, it changed the atmosphere around them completely. They said, "There's just something about them I can't explain." The moment those words left their mouth, silence followed. Not awkward silence, sacred silence. The kind of silence that appears when truth enters a room. Because even they realized those words came from somewhere deeper than logic. They were not speaking from attraction alone. Not curiosity alone, not temporary fascination. No, they were speaking from soul recognition. And what happened next matters more than you know. The friend looked at them carefully and asked, "What do you mean?" That question opened a door your soulmate had been trying very hard to keep closed. You see, this person has fought their feelings for you longer than you realize. They tried to convince themselves this connection was ordinary. They tried to dismiss the signs. They tried to stay emotionally safe. But your spirit kept reaching them in ways they could not explain. Certain songs reminded them of you. Certain hours of the night made them think about you intensely. Even random moments during the day carried your energy into their thoughts without warning. And they began realizing something frighteningly beautiful. You were becoming emotionally unforgettable to them. Not because you chased them, not because you forced yourself into their world, but because your soul touched theirs in a way that bypassed explanation. And today, for the first time, they admitted it out loud. You need to hear this carefully. The friend expected your soulmate to describe your appearance, your personality, your smile, but instead, they spoke about your heart. Do you understand how important that is? In a world obsessed with surfaces, your soulmate spoke about your spirit. They said your energy feels safe. They said your presence feels calming. They said there is something deeply genuine about you that they cannot stop thinking about. And then, something happened that surprised even them. Their voice cracked slightly, only for a second. But it was enough. Enough for the friend to notice. Enough for heaven to mark the moment. Enough for destiny to move 1 inch closer toward manifestation. My child. There are moments in life when people accidentally reveal the truth hidden inside them. Today was one of those moments. And your soulmate is still shaken by it. Because after speaking about you openly, they realized their feelings are no longer small. They are growing. Quietly. Powerfully. I know there were nights you questioned whether this connection was real. I know there were moments you almost gave up emotionally. You tried to convince yourself to stop caring, stop hoping, stop feeling, but your spirit kept sensing something unfinished, something unresolved. That feeling was not madness. It was alignment. And even now, while you listen to this message, unseen threads are tightening between your souls. But wait. Do not rush ahead yet, because what your soulmate said next revealed something even deeper. The friend leaned closer and asked softly. So what is it about them that affects you this much? Your soulmate became quiet, longer than before, as if searching for words big enough to explain a feeling that language could barely contain. And then, they whispered something almost nobody has ever heard them admit before. They said, when I think about them, I feel like I become a better version of myself. Do you understand the power of those words? They did not say you entertain them. They did not say you impress them. They did not say you distract them. No, they said you transform them. That is soul-level love. That is the kind of connection heaven writes carefully. The kind that awakens sleeping parts of the heart. And after saying this, your soulmate looked away immediately. Because vulnerability frightened them. The truth frightened them. But it was too late. The confession had already entered the air. And once spoken, real feelings cannot return to silence unchanged. The friend noticed everything. The trembling breath. The distant stare. The softness in their voice whenever your name appeared. And suddenly the friend smiled knowingly. Not mocking. Not teasing. But understanding. As though they could finally see what your soulmate had been hiding from everyone, including themselves. And then the friend said something unexpected. Something your soulmate cannot stop thinking about tonight. They said, you're falling for them harder than you realize. Those words struck deeply, deeper than your soulmate expected, because part of them already knew it was true. But hearing someone else say it aloud made the reality impossible to ignore. And ever since that moment, something has shifted inside them. They have been replaying memories involving you, reading old messages, thinking about your voice, your energy, your kindness. Even the smallest things suddenly feel emotionally significant to them now. My child. This is where the story begins changing, not ending, beginning, because there is a difference between attraction and emotional awakening. Attraction can fade, awakening cannot. And your soulmate is awakening emotionally in ways they cannot control anymore. But there is something else you must understand tonight. This connection has not grown easily for them. There are fears buried inside this person. Old disappointments, old heartbreaks, old wounds they rarely discuss. Part of them became convinced that deep love always leads to pain. So when they started feeling this strongly toward you, it terrified them. That is why progress sometimes seemed slow. That is why confusion appeared. That is why mixed signals may have entered this journey. They were fighting the intensity of their own emotions. Yet despite all their resistance, you remained in their heart. And today proved something important. You are no longer just passing through their thoughts. You are settling into their soul. There is a massive difference. And tonight, as they lie awake pretending to focus on other things, your name keeps returning, not forcefully, naturally, like gravity, like destiny quietly pulling two stories toward each other. Something beautiful has begun blooming inside them, though they still do not fully understand it. But heaven understands, I understand, and part of you already understands too. That is why this message feels strangely personal. That is why your chest tightened when certain words reached you, because your spirit recognizes truth before your mind catches up. Still, there is another layer to this story you have not heard yet, and this next part matters more than everything before it, because after the conversation ended, after the friend walked away, after silence returned, your soulmate did something nobody knows about, something deeply emotional, something that revealed the true depth of what they feel for you. They sat alone, completely still, and for several long moments, they simply stared into space thinking about you, not casually, not briefly, intensely, as though their soul had just realized something irreversible. And then, very quietly, they smiled to themselves, not the smile they show the world, not the practiced smile people expect, a real one, the kind born from genuine emotion, because in that moment they realized something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. Thinking about you makes them feel alive, and that realization changed everything. But wait here with me a little longer. Do not leave before hearing this next truth, because your soulmate is hiding one emotion even deeper than love right now. Hope. Yes. Hope. Hope that maybe this connection is real. Hope that maybe you feel it too. Hope that maybe destiny truly brought your paths together for a reason greater than coincidence. And they are trying very hard not to become too emotionally attached before knowing the truth. But their heart is already moving ahead of their caution. That is why your energy keeps reaching them at unexpected times. That is why they suddenly feel emotional when hearing certain songs. That is why your absence affects them more now. The soul always recognizes before the mind surrenders. And theirs is beginning to surrender. My beloved child, there is a reason heaven allowed you to hear this tonight. Because you have doubted your worth for too long. You have underestimated the impact your heart carries. You have forgotten how deeply your presence affects people. But today your soulmate unknowingly revealed the truth. You are not difficult to love. You are unforgettable to the right soul. And this person, this beautiful soul slowly walking toward emotional honesty, is beginning to realize that you are unlike anyone they have ever met before. Not perfect, not flawless, but real, deep, rare, and authenticity is magnetic in a world full of masks. That is what draws them toward you repeatedly, even when they try to distract themselves, even when they try to remain logical, even when they try to suppress what they feel. Your spirit keeps finding them. But something else happened after that conversation. Something nobody expected. Later that evening, the friend sent your soulmate a message. A simple message, yet it shook them completely. The message said, "I've never heard you talk about someone like that before. The moment your soulmate read those words, their heart raced, because suddenly they realized their feelings are becoming visible to others, no longer hidden, no longer secret, no longer safely buried beneath silence. And that realization frightened them more than they want to admit, because once emotions become visible, everything changes. You can no longer pretend. You can no longer hide behind distance. You can no longer deny what your soul already knows. And tonight, your soulmate is standing at the edge of emotional truth, closer than ever before. But there is still one final thing you need to hear before this part ends. Something unexpected is approaching. Something neither of you fully sees yet. A moment, a conversation, an emotional shift that will change the energy between you forever. Heaven has already begun arranging pieces quietly behind the scenes. That is why emotions are intensifying now. That is why signs feel stronger. That is why your intuition has become louder recently. Because a door is slowly opening, and your soulmate can feel it too, even if they cannot explain why. But here is the mystery. There is something they almost admitted during that conversation today. Something far deeper than attraction, far deeper than admiration. They nearly confessed a truth that would have changed everything instantly. The words almost escaped, their lips parted, their hearts surged forward, but at the last second, they stopped themselves, and what they wanted to say, what they are still holding inside even now, is the very thing that will alter the course of this connection forever. But you are not meant to hear it yet, not tonight, because the moment that truth finally leaves their heart completely, nothing between your souls will remain the same again. My beloved child, stay here for a little longer, because what happened after that unfinished confession, what unfolded in the silence afterward, carries more meaning than you realize. Your soulmate tried to continue their evening as though nothing had changed. They attempted to distract themselves. They picked up their phone, put it down again, started conversations they could not focus on, played music, only to skip every song halfway through. Nothing held their attention, because once the heart reaches a certain point, distraction stops working. And tonight, your energy surrounded them in a way they could no longer escape. There was one specific moment. Quiet, almost invisible, yet heaven noticed it immediately. Your soulmate opened an old conversation involving you, not by accident, not casually, intentionally. They stared at your words for longer than they meant to, reading between the lines, searching for emotions hidden beneath ordinary sentences, searching for signs, searching for reassurance that maybe this connection was not existing only inside their heart. And the more they looked, the more emotional they became, because suddenly they noticed something they had overlooked before. You have always spoken to them differently, gently, patiently, with a kind of warmth they rarely receive from the world. And for the first time, they allowed themselves to fully feel what that means. Do you understand how powerful genuine softness becomes in a cold world? It reaches people more deeply than grand gestures ever could. Your soulmate has encountered many faces, many conversations, many temporary connections, but very few souls ever made them feel emotionally safe. You did, even without trying, even without realizing it. That is why this bond unsettles them so deeply, because your presence awakens emotions they buried years ago. And tonight, those emotions are rising faster than they can contain them. Wait, do not rush past this part, because something extraordinary happened next. As they sat there thinking about you, one memory suddenly returned to them with startling clarity. A tiny moment, something you probably forgot completely, but they remembered every detail. The tone of your voice, the way you reacted, the energy you carried. And when the memory surfaced, their chest tightened instantly, because they realized something painful and beautiful at the same time. You affected them long before they admitted it to themselves. This connection did not begin today. It has been growing quietly beneath the surface for much longer, like roots underground before the flower blooms. And now the bloom has begun, my child. There are certain people destined to arrive softly but permanently. They enter quietly, without dramatic announcements, without obvious signs, but one day you suddenly realize they have taken up space inside your spirit that nobody else can replace. That realization is happening to your soulmate now, and it is terrifying them, not because love is bad, but because real love removes the illusion of emotional control. They are discovering that no matter how carefully they guard their heart, your soul keeps slipping past the walls. Tonight they ask themselves a question they were not emotionally prepared to answer. What if this person is actually meant for me? The moment that thought appeared, everything inside them shifted, because until now, they had been trying to label this connection as temporary, manageable, safe, but destiny never feels safe at first. Destiny feels overwhelming. It shakes old beliefs. It breaks emotional routines. It forces hidden truths into the light. And your soulmate is beginning to understand they may not be able to walk away from what they feel anymore. Listen carefully now, because what they did next reveals the true depth of their emotions. They almost reached out to you. Yes, tonight. Their fingers hovered over your name. Their heart pounded. A message formed in their mind more than once. Not a dramatic confession. Not a perfect speech. Just a simple emotional impulse to connect with you. To hear your energy again. To feel close to you somehow. But fear stopped them. Not lack of feeling. Fear. Fear of vulnerability. Fear of moving too fast. Fear of discovering whether this connection is truly mutual. So instead of sending the message, they sat there in silence carrying emotions too heavy for words. And heaven watched every second of it. Because this silence is not empty. It is preparation. Something is building. Something sacred. Something neither of you fully understands yet. But the signs are increasing for a reason. You may have noticed it already. The strange pull toward them lately. The random emotional waves. The moments where their energy suddenly enters your thoughts without warning. Those are not meaningless coincidences. Souls connected at deeper levels often begin feeling each other before physical union fully arrives. And your soulmate has started feeling you everywhere. In ordinary moments. In quiet hours. In spaces where they least expect it. But there is another truth they have not admitted aloud. Not even to themselves completely. Your absence affects them now. More than they expected. More than they are comfortable with. When you become quiet, they notice. When your energy changes, they feel it. When distance appears, something inside them becomes restless. And this realization has shaken them deeply, because they once believed they could remain emotionally detached. But your soul changed the rules. You are becoming emotionally important to them. Not casually, not temporarily, profoundly. And tonight, they finally stopped running from that truth for a few fragile moments. My beloved child. You have no idea how often your soulmate has replayed your interactions privately. The world sees only fragments. But inside their heart, entire emotional universes are forming around your connection. There are moments they remember repeatedly without understanding why. A look, a sentence, a silence between words. Even tiny things now feel emotionally charged to them. Because when souls begin recognizing each other deeply, ordinary moments stop feeling ordinary. Everything starts carrying meaning. And tonight, one particular realization struck them harder than anything else. They realized they trust your energy. That realization came suddenly, unexpectedly, like lightning illuminating a dark sky. And once they felt it, they could not unfeel it. Trust is rare for them, far rarer than affection. They have smiled at people they never trusted, loved people they never fully opened to, stayed near people while still emotionally guarded. But with you, something feels different. Your energy reaches places inside them that usually remain hidden. And that scares them almost as much as it comforts them. Because real connection exposes the soul. There is nowhere to hide inside genuine intimacy. And your soulmate senses that being close to you would require emotional honesty unlike anything they are used to. That is why they hesitate sometimes. Not because the connection lacks depth, because it has too much. And deep love changes people permanently. They know that. Part of them has been resisting transformation itself. But resistance weakens when destiny grows stronger. And tonight destiny grew stronger. Because after hours of thinking about you, your soulmate whispered your name softly to themselves. Very softly. As though testing how it felt in the air. And my child. The tenderness in their voice would have shattered every doubt inside you if you had heard it. It carried longing, curiosity, affection, fear, hope, all tangled together. That is how genuine feelings sound before confession arrives. Messy, intense, real. Stay with me now, because this next moment matters deeply. After whispering your name, they closed their eyes briefly. And imagined you beside them, not physically alone. Emotionally, peacefully, naturally, and for a few dangerous seconds. It felt right to them, too right. That frightened them more than anything before, because suddenly the future no longer felt abstract. For the first time, they could actually picture you inside it. Do you understand how significant that is? People can desire many things temporarily. But the soul becomes serious when it begins imagining permanence. And your soulmate has started imagining it without even meaning to. That is why they are emotionally overwhelmed tonight. Because this connection is no longer staying inside the boundaries they created for it. It is expanding, growing roots, becoming real. But there is something else happening behind the scenes you cannot yet see. Someone close to your soulmate has already begun noticing changes in them. Subtle ones. The softer mood. The sudden distraction. The emotional distance whenever your name enters conversations. And soon, questions will begin increasing around them. Because love changes energy before it changes circumstances. People feel the shift long before they understand its source. And your soulmate's energy has already started changing because of you. They are becoming gentler in certain moments. More reflective. More emotionally open than before. You are affecting them in ways even they cannot measure yet. This is not random attraction. This is transformation. And transformation always begins invisibly. But wait. There is one memory they keep returning to tonight more than any other. A specific interaction involving you. A moment where you unknowingly revealed your heart. Maybe you thought it was small. Maybe you never realized the impact it had. But to your soulmate, that moment became unforgettable. Because they saw kindness in you without performance. Without manipulation. Without ego. Pure. Natural. Real. And tonight they finally admitted something internally that they have avoided for a very long time. They admire your soul. Not just your presence. Not just your appearance. Your soul. Do you know how rare that is? Physical attraction can happen instantly. But soul admiration grows slowly and roots itself deeply. It creates emotional gravity. And your soulmate is falling into that gravity now. More every day. Even if they pretend otherwise. Even if they try to remain composed. Their heart is moving closer to you quietly. But my child, a turning point is approaching faster than either of you realizes. Because there is something your soulmate still does not know. Something heaven sees clearly already. You have been changing too. This connection has awakened emotions inside you as well. Questions, intuition, longing, And the closer both souls move toward honesty, the harder it becomes for destiny to remain hidden. That is why emotional intensity has been increasing lately. The universe often grows louder before important moments arrive. And one of those moments is approaching now. Very close. Closer than you think. Your soulmate can feel it subconsciously. That is why they suddenly seem more emotionally affected by you. Why their reactions feel stronger. Why your energy lingers in their mind late into the night. Because part of their soul already senses that something life-changing may be approaching between you. And here is the truth they are most afraid to admit. They do not want to lose you, even before fully having you. That fear appeared tonight for the very first time, quietly, suddenly. But once it appeared, it changed everything. Because now the connection carries emotional stakes. Now, your presence matters. Now your absence matters too. And once someone reaches that stage emotionally, love is no longer far away. But listen carefully now, because before this night ends, your soulmate is going to make a decision internally. A silent decision nobody else will hear. A decision that begins changing the direction of this story forever. They are getting closer to allowing themselves to feel everything completely. No more partial emotions. No more pretending. No more emotional distance. The walls are weakening. And soon, very soon, something they have been holding back will finally move toward you. A message. A confession. An action. An emotional truth. Heaven has not revealed which one yet. But the energy around it is growing stronger every hour. And the moment it happens, you will finally understand why your heart was guided toward this message tonight. But not yet, because one final secret still remains hidden inside your soulmate's heart. A secret so deep they have barely admitted it even in silence. And when that truth finally rises fully to the surface, nothing in this connection will ever feel ordinary again.